Hi there, it's the Common Magician, and I am in fact not dead. I'm very much alive, and I did remember that I have a magic channel. So here I am. I've got a couple decks of cards here. You've seen things like this recently. Well, not too recently, but as recently as you've seen videos from me. Literally taken right off the shelf of the game shelf in the living room, right? That's what we're looking at here. So 2 decks of cards, have some people shuffle them up. And just to demonstrate, you can see quite clearly, if you look at the cards, you can see that they are not in any particular order, right? They're not the same. There's nothing about these that are the same, right? So completely different. Now, what we're going to do is kind of unusual. I'm going to give you a lot of choices here. First of all, I need you to just name a number, not too small, not too big, just kind of something to work with. I don't know, do I have any dice around here? We'll see. Got a couple dice. And I think make sure they're not toppers, they're not loaded. These are normal, okay? So we'll get a number here. We've got 6, 7, 8. That's good. We'll go with 8. Okay, so we have 8. 8 is your number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards. We're going to take 8 cards off the top. And I'll tell you what, we can ask somebody else. You can either go with that number. Want to keep that number, or would you like to pick a different number? A different number? Okay, different number. We'll roll something else, and we'll try to follow the same. 3 is kind of silly to work with. So we'll say that's, we could say 21 or 12, whichever you want. Do you want 21 or 12? We'll say 12. Okay, so we have 12 cards, right? Off the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12. 12 cards off the top, okay? So you shuffle the decks. You could see that they were not in any particular order. They were certainly not similar, right? The probability of them having the same cards in the same place would be really way outside of probability. Very unlikely. Yet, we managed to do that. So this is a concept that it's all related to things we've talked about. I remember someone said a while back on one of the tutorials I gave, they said they find that after some time, every YouTube channel that has content will eventually start to repeat itself. And I understand what they're saying, but actually what the reality there is that within a subject area, you're going to be repeating concepts because subject areas are finite. They have finite limitations on the vocabulary and the principles that are involved in that subject area. I have a music channel, and one of the reasons why I haven't been on for a while, 2 reasons. I've been incredibly busy with my real work in teaching. And the good news is that summer is coming up here, and I'm going to be quite available. Hopefully, you'll be able to get more stuff on this channel. But I've been very, very busy at work, my real work, more busy than normal. There's been a lot of stuff going on I've had to kind of work with there. And then in addition to that, I've also decided personally that I needed to focus more on my more legit skills, right, which is in music. Music composition in particular. So I've been writing a lot more music. I've been working on another YouTube channel where I'm putting my compositions out there, some older compositions I had, getting them rendered out and recorded and put them up so that they're there, trying to get some of my catalog of music onto streaming platforms where it belongs so it can be heard. I've been doing that. Writing new music. I've written more music probably in the last couple of months than I have in the last 5 years, just by choice, because I probably should be doing that. That's what I really am, and I should be doing that. So I've been trying to spend some time on that. I haven't really taken much time on that because, as I said, I've been busy. But that has caused me to step away from the channel just for a short period of time here to kind of get some affairs in order there. But I am back, and yes, there's going to be repetition here. And on my music channel, if I discuss music concepts, you're going to go so far. I'm going to go so far before I start integrating concepts that have already been discussed. There's a finite amount of content in any subject area. In spite of the fact that, of course, with music, there's an unlimited amount of music that can be created. You will never get to a point where all of the music has been made. There are too many variables. There's far more variables in that than there are variables for a shuffle deck of cards. Far more. So we know what the probability of this is if you've spent any time on this channel. It's a theme here. So yeah, this is going to be based on some things that we've talked about before, but just understand that the applications of those repeated concepts are vast. You really can, as I've pointed out before, you can take one concept, you can take one good force, and you can make a show out of it. You can do 30 minutes of content without really spiking any suspicion, just using one principle, you know, if you doctor it up and dress it up in the right way. So this is, first of all, related to previous videos. And actually what I was going to show you was this trick where I take two decks. The spectator shuffles one, I shuffle the other. They pick a card or deal down to something or whatever, or cut and pull one out, and then I do the same. I cut directly to the exact same card that they cut to. Super, super clean. But I got to thinking about it, and I realized that actually presentationally there's no reason to do what I was going to do. Because what I was going to do was use a mem deck indexed. My mem deck that has an index. It's got breathers for index in it. And obviously, I can go to any card I want to. So it doesn't matter what they do. They could cut to any card from a truly shuffled deck. And then just with a couple of cuts, I can cut to a card, that card, without any trouble. And that's a great trick. However, it occurred to me that it's unnecessary. It's not necessary. Maybe for magicians it might be necessary to be so clean. But here we have a situation where you could have two borrowed decks, and there's justification. So if the cards are shuffled, given what you're going to do, there is justification to present the probability, or rather the improbability, that the cards would be the same, right? The end will actually look back upon this moment right here, but this moment facilitates the end. And that's a really good relationship, I think, when you're trying to formulate a magic trick. It's nice to have something that can be justified by the effect itself that you need, something that you need to facilitate the trick that already is self-justified. In this case, if we have two shuffled decks, we can show that they're different, but this moment right here allows me to get ahead. In a way that we've discussed before. So what I'm doing in this case, and you actually have a lot of options here. What I can do is I can look at the first deck, it doesn't matter which one, and I can note a couple of things. I could note a top card, I could note a bottom card. If it's on video, you might not want to do that. In this case, I did something very different. I noted the fourth card. In this case, it's the Jack of Diamonds. So as soon as I spread, literally in this moment, when I spread, I'm going to spread really deep over here. I see it immediately, even before I'm done spreading. I already have an identity in mind. So that way, whenever I come to this deck and I spread this one, I'm looking immediately as I spread for that same card, which is down here. Now what I'm doing is I'm looking back to the fourth card, and this is really great because I'm justified in this moment. I can get really handsy with it. I can say, you can see these cards are very different from these. I already know where it's at, but very different from these cards. And what I'm doing is I'm actually getting a bit of a break here at the fourth card, rather the third card up from my card, so that this is now fourth down, which is where this one is at, right? So then what I can do is I can pick up this spread, and I can push off, I can do a table shift, push off at that break and shift to the bottom. It now places the Jack of Diamonds, which is fourth here, now fourth here, right? Now, secondarily, I can cleanly pick this up, or I can say, hey, can you pick those cards up? I could even have someone else do it. Super, super clean. Everything's been justified because of what's going to happen. Now I'm ready to do a force. In this case, I just did a call in a count, right? So I say name a number. They say something like 15. And I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, call the fourth. And then you go 5, 6, 7. And I'm just spreading over this until I get down to the 1. And now I forced in very cleanly my Jack of Diamonds. I can do the same thing over here. If you were to shift something to the top, for example, let's say I do this, and I'm just going to kind of cover my bases really well. I'm looking for the second card. It's going to be the 10 of hearts, okay? So when I spread down here, I'm now looking for the 10 of hearts. I see it here. what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift now to the 10 of hearts to the top. So when I do my spread shift, I'm just going to push off. And you don't have to be super clean about this, by the way. Some people think you have to be super clean. You're just picking cards up. There's no motivation. No selections have been made. There's no suspicion, right? So you pick it up. I've shifted my 10 of hearts now to the top. And then what I have to do is the same thing over here. I can very sloppily, very clumsily, just pick up and leave one card behind and then pick it up and put it on top. And now I've shifted quite openly, right? No sleight. This is really sleightless. This is not a sleight-based table shift. This is an open maneuver table shift, because it doesn't have to be covered. Now I'm in a situation where I have the ability to force. I can use any kind of force I want to force a top card. The most ideal in this case, and probably the strongest presentation, would be to say, go ahead and, could you please just cut the deck somewhere in the middle? Set it right there. They do that, and then I can come back here, and I can say, could you please cut right there? Say, good, and we're just going to hold this where we've cut. Hold the break you created. I actually have something to say about this. There have been a lot of discussion about, there's been a lot of discussion about how to deal with the crisscross force, a very favorite maneuver on this channel because of what we do here and the kind of magic we do. And there's been discussion about saying something or saying nothing. I recently did this for somebody, and I said nothing. I just did it, right? And I got to the end, and someone said, and you've all been in this situation, and this is maybe a tutorial on that too. One of the people said, well after the effect was over, I think I saw what you did. Now, there are some people that have that mentality that they will just say that, and they could have any kind of bonkers idea, right, and be way off, which gets to a point, how do you deal with that? But they said, I think I saw what you did, and it's possible that they actually saw what I did. And it occurred to me in that moment that actually it probably would have helped if I used the line I like, which is, we'll complete the cut and hold the break that you created. That statement, I like that statement. If you're going to say anything, I highly advocate that you say that. We'll complete the cut, which is true. We'll hold the break, which is true, that you created, which is true. But those things that are true don't necessarily mean what you think they mean. But it is true, 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 and it stacks up a validity to the moment that you can then apply time to and then come back to. So I kind of wish I would have done that, because I could see in retrospect it probably would have cleaned it up a little bit. And I kind of go back and forth on this, saying nothing or saying something. And I don't know. There's a lot of opinions about it. But anyway, just something on that. Now, how did I deal with this person when they said, I think I saw what you did there? What I do, this is how I deal with that kind of personality. I don't get defensive. Don't ever get defensive. Don't ever say, well, what do you think you saw? Well, explain it to me. Well, it couldn't have been anything you... Don't do that. What I do is very simple. I acknowledge I am doing a trick. I acknowledge that people know I'm doing a trick. I generally don't subscribe to the magic. I subscribe to the puzzle magic, that the puzzlement, the wonder of what's going on, is the magic. But I don't subscribe to the idea that I can convey that I am doing something that is operating on magic. Does that make sense? So because of my philosophy, it's very easy for me when someone says, I think I saw what you did there. I say, you did? Shh, shh, right? That's it. That's all I say. I say, oh, you did? Shh, right? And I just try to get them in with me, right? Whether or not they saw what I did or whether or not they could be possibly correct, I don't even care. I don't have to have a conversation. I'm not offended by it, right? It doesn't hurt my feelings. I just manage them. I say, you did? Shh. Then give them a little smile, like, yeah, you're in on it, right? Whether, it doesn't matter, okay? So anyway, that's that. Crisscross force the sucker. Look what we've done. Very clean. I did this one. I had them cut that one. I had them cut that one. I replaced this one, which is the time delay for that one, and this cut was the time delay for that one. I replaced this one, which was the time delayed by that one, right? The confusion of what's going on. I've even thought about doing this with this. I've never done it, but this is something for you to consider. You could have them do that and then come back and say, now watch this. We're going to hold the break that you created. You could say it or not say it. But what I've done is I've really muddled up the picture here, right? And you can see at the place where they change, we have this situation. There's no reason why this should happen. Their recollection is that the deck was shuffled by them, both of them, that they were fair and in use, randomly available, shuffled by them, verified by them and spread. You could see it. Cut by them, and then that happens. Totally mind-boggling and extremely accessible. So anyway, an idea for you, and also a number of principles for you to consider. When you're trying to create something and you have to have justification for some kind of scenario or situation that facilitates, you want to try to find a way to have ingrained justification to it, something that's embedded, something you don't have to explain. You don't have to go back and to explain it, right? I am justified in saying shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. You've shuffled, you shuffled. Completely different, right? Completely out of the ordinary. And then move on. Totally embedded, right? It's you almost need to have that happen, because if you never look at the condition of the cards, then you have suspicion. If you've looked at the condition of the cards, you actually decrease suspicion. You make it more impossible. And that's great, because that's the justification you needed to facilitate the effect. So always look for those opportunities. Whenever you have conditions that are like that, you've got a real winner, I think, of a trick. Doesn't matter how difficult or easy it is. The easier, the better, of course. So anyway, those are my ideas for you. Good to see you back. Happy summer. Hope to see you a lot more frequently here on the channel. Best of luck with this, and happy magicking.